Hi, everybody. Bingo Schmingo time. What exactly is Bingo Schmingo? Well, first of all, we're happy to have you with us today. I am Dan Allen Levine, and I am sitting here with, I'm pointing this way, but on the screen, it's gotta be that way. This is the great Susan Scibetta, and Susan
Yes.
was one of my clients initially when I entertained her residence when she was the activity director at Valley Terrace Senior Living near Dartmouth University. And we're excited to bring you some very new ideas for seniors in residences when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to activities, and we'd like to explore all the different possibilities and get activity directors out of some of the ruts that some of them may be in, finding themselves short of time, short of staff, unable to really stimulate their residents the way they'd really like to, and to give them a little more time to be able to do that. Susan, why don't we talk a little bit about your background? Let's get to know us. How about
Okay.
that to start? I, I,
Perfect.
I figured you'd say okay. Why do people they love to hear about who they are, what they've done, right? So, Susan, tell us a little bit about you and your background.
I was an activities director in Vermont, starting at Woodstock Terrace, and then moved to directing both Valley Terrace and Woodstock Terrace right before COVID hit. So I was in activities prior to that and was promoted, I would say, 2 months before COVID hit. And that's where I learned that, first off, nothing is the same. My calendar always shifted. And then when COVID hit, it really shifted because everything got canceled. And I had to figure out and think outside of the box and out create a pandemic inside of our facilities. And it's where I learned how to not take things on my calendar too serious and how to entertain residents even under the stress of a pandemic while keeping them safe. So it's my background. I'm also an artist. I had an art school in New York. It was an art school that I basically ran as my children grew up. It grew up with them. So I was an art teacher. And then when we moved to Vermont, I found my way to senior living and fell in love with the senior residents, really fell in love with memory care residents and what I saw and what activities did, not only
They
for the,
fell in love with you, I have to say. Knowing the
gosh,
residents, golly gee.
golly gee, I
I
love
have
them.
to say that the residents I still play there, of course. The residents there absolutely loved you.
Yeah.
And there have been other people there since, but when they hear your name, wow.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah. Well, that just
Tears come to their eyes.
is the best part about the job when you really see that what you do and how you treat them and value them. And it just creates kind of a magical relationship. I feel the same way. I think about the residents. I go visit them when I'm back in Vermont, and
Great.
it's the same thing.
Yes.
So that's my background in a nutshell. So yeah,
Love that.
thanks. Okay, Dan. So enough about me. Tell us a little bit about you.
There's nothing to say. No, 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 no.
Okay.
I grew up in the suburbs of New York City. I have played the piano since I was 2 years old. My mother used to play all. You may hear some thunder in the background here. We're having a lightning thunderstorm. My mother would play the piano all day long. I'd be in a little toddler thing listening to her, and I started playing the piano at the age of 2 years old. Actually, before I could talk, I started playing this song. Let me put a piano sound on. That's not a piano sound. This is. I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake. And apparently, from what I hear, I played that before I could speak. And
Wow.
I have been playing the piano ever since. I play by ear totally. And people ask me, how is it that you know how to play everything and you play by ear? I don't like to use music, although I was trained classically, but I learned to play just by listening when I was at such an impressionable age. And it's learning how to talk. That's how I look at it. Anyway, I graduated from the Manhattan School of Music in New York. I started by writing music for the Dick Cavett Show, which was on the air opposite Johnny Carson, and I did that freelance. But it was really my first foray into the music scene, and then I produced an album and I arranged it based on the big bands. I did back in the day when disco was big. I put all the big band songs together and did some original interludes. It was called Big Band Medley, and it went to number 19 on the Billboard Adult Contemporary chart. In New
Wow.
York City, it went to number one on a music channel in New York. And after that, I started doing a lot of different musical things. The most notable was I always wanted to have a Broadway musical. I wrote the music, composed the music for the Broadway musical Anna Karenina. I teamed up with a very talented writer named Peter Kellogg, who wrote the book and lyrics, and we went to Broadway. Peter and I both got Tony Award nominations for the score of Anna Karenina. I produced Leslie Uggams' album. You may remember Leslie. She played the part of Kizzy in the original Roots. She was a really popular singer back in the 70s, so we did that. And I've been writing music ever since. I have gotten into the smooth jazz, and I have an incredible lyricist that I work with. Her name is Susan Scibetta.
That
That's you. Susan
is.
that's one thing she didn't say about herself. She's an incredible lyricist. And we have a hip smooth jazz song out, sung by Samantha May, called Echoes in the Dark. And we have a new one coming out called Stay a Little While, which is coming out in August. And I have an album called Over the Moon. So look for Over the Moon by Dan Allen Levine and enjoy yourself. And that's me. I've been playing at senior residences. I started doing it just to help people. And I love playing for people. And it's been an enlightening experience for me. I play at over 50 residences per month. So it's a little bit of a heavy schedule, but I really enjoy it. And I've been watching seniors who, in some cases, haven't reacted to things in years start dancing, and they start going like this. And it's wonderful. And that's how I met Susan. Like I said, she was my client. So there we go. So,
Perfect.
Susan,
Yep.
it's so, I know that in the last several months we have both together been working on ways to excite people in senior residence activity departments in new ways, to get them
Right.
interested in new ways to stimulate their residents.
I really never sat in my office. I was always on the floor with the residents where we want to be, finding new and exciting entertainment, trying to come up with new and exciting entertainment takes time. And it takes time to sit down and build the program and to template it and finding the money to build these beautiful programs. And we did,
How are
but
you able to balance the two, giving the residents enough of your time and being able to balance both the time you had to take away from that to create these programs?
it was hard. Luckily, I had really fantastic assistants and I could build the programs or disappear into my office to create or build the calendar. And when I was fully staffed, and that wasn't always, I wasn't always fully staffed. When I was fully staffed, I could breathe a little bit. I could take more time, or I would stay late, or there was all of these ways of building the programs and developing them, but still I never had enough time. I never had
That's
enough
interesting.
time.
And
That was
not
the
only is that a challenge when you have, as you said, a lot of assistants who can help you, but these days with budgets being the way they are, there are residences that are very short staffed
absolutely.
where they don't have the activities directors literally do not have the luxury of falling back on people who can help them for various tasks.
Exactly. And we're also talking about communities that have assisted living, that have memory care,
Yeah.
that have memory care that sort of falls into our assisted living. It was always this balance of how am I going to do this with what I have? And you make it work
Make
and
it work.
you figure it out.
You have no
But
choice.
that's where, for me, and we'll get into the bones of this program, when we were sitting at lunch and you presented to me this idea of the virtual concerts. And when we spoke about it, building programs around the virtual concerts, because music, if anyone in the industry could listen to us talk right now, what we would all agree on is that music is absolutely one of the most important things in these residents' life because it's sensorial. It brings back memories and emotions, and it brings residents who haven't spoken in potentially days. And all of a sudden, they'll sing every lyric to a song that was played at their wedding. It is so important. I have chills because I watched it over and over again. And that's where this program excites me the most is, and we're going to talk about it more.
We're being sponsored by our new company called ThemeDaze. ThemeDaze. Why don't we take a short break and take a look at a little commercial that we put together for ThemeDaze? This is a short 60-second commercial that kind of sums it all up. Hi, Dan here. We are taking senior activities and music performance to a whole new level. As a senior myself, I remember all the great songs we grew up with. We're going to perform them online for you twice monthly with audience creative input based upon a different theme each month and activities that will dazzle you to go along with that theme. The price will surprise you. We know you're going to love it, and we look forward to having you with us.
So, programming, you asked me how I programmed while I was an activities director. Music was a big part of my programming. It was one of the most important, and where I met Dan. And to see the relationship that Dan built with my residents and how when he left, how the conversation continued and continued. And when they saw his name on the board, they were so excited. And those are the moments in that job that made all of the work, all of the late nights, all of the times where I thought, I can't sustain this. Well, you figure it out and you meet people like Dan and you watch the residents just light up and talk about it for days. And Dan was just one of those. He was one of the special ones, and a lot of them are, but I still go to Valley Terrace, and they still talk about Dan, and
Wow.
obviously you still go there.
You know, it's interesting. When I play, I'm going to give you a little sample of what I think is important. My method of playing for residents. I mean, I can play music from now and whatever I can hear, whatever I've heard, I'll play. But residents love to hear music that they remember. So I kind of feel the audience. I feel the audience. Sorry to have my side to you, everybody. They love songs, for example, like this. And songs that they remember growing up. And what I like to do is I like to play for them music as close to the way it initially was recorded. So if I'm doing a Carpenter song, I'll do these kinds of harmonies. So, yeah. So I love to play. I just love to entertain. And what can I say? It's my life. It's really,
So, Dan, as you've
yeah.
asked me questions, tell everyone, you know, you go to these facilities and you've played. What do you get from playing for this population, the seniors?
One of the things that I get from it is just the joy of seeing people at first who come in looking very sad and very lonely and very despondent. And I would love to be able to say things or do things to get them out of that. I've
Yeah,
always been one to try to make things right. If somebody is arguing with me, when my parents would yell at me as a kid, I would always say, I just wanted to make things right. Even
yeah,
if I knew I was wrong, I'd apologize just so we
right,
could have peace. But in the same way, I look at people who maybe can't speak the way they used to, can't walk the way they used to, can't live the way they used to.
right.
What can I say to them to make them feel better? My specialty is doing that through music. So the joy that I get from uplifting these people who really need a lift.
Yes,
And it's fun to play just a concert for all people and watch them enjoy themselves. But there's something a little bit extra special about seeing people in a senior residence and knowing that this is the highlight of their entire day and
absolutely.
trying to make it. And I see their faces light up and I see them just come into a different space than they came in with. And it's just so gratifying. That is the main thing I take away from this.
That's wonderful. Tell us what's the most requested song that you get? If you on any given community that you go to, is it wedding songs? Is it do they want to hear like what was played at their wedding? Do they want to hear a show tune? What is it?
All right. The number one song, requested song, without a doubt, is Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yeah.
Number
Yeah.
one. Number two, I would say, is Moon River.
Yes.
They love that. Number three is Edelweiss
Oh,
from The
yeah.
Sound of Music.
Yeah, which
Oh my
makes
goodness,
sense.
they love Edelweiss. What else do they love? Let's see. In the state of Vermont, when I play in Vermont, they all want to hear Moonlight in Vermont.
In Vermont,
Right.
yes.
I always love hearing that song done by people who have no clue what Vermont is all about. Frank Sinatra, Moonlight in, I can't sing, everybody. Just Moonlight in Vermont. That's Moonlight in Vermont. Da da do 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 do. Those aren't the lyrics, but he talks about the hills and the moon and the stars, and probably never was in Vermont in his life.
Right.
And I think
He
that was
actually was, didn't he? Didn't
Frank Sinatra.
he?
Was?
Wait. Did he? Who was in the movie? What is the Christmas movie that?
Holiday Inn,
No. Was it a White Christmas?
possibly White Christmas
White
with
Christmas.
Bing Crosby.
Ben Crosby.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Bing
And
Crosby.
that was supposed to be in Vermont. So that doesn't make any sense that I said that. But hey, we're both from Vermont. Well, we both live in Vermont. I am not from Vermont. I grew up in Georgia.
And I grew up in New York. We're
Yeah.
Vermont transplants.
Yep, we are.
But speaking of Bing Crosby, can you imagine two parents saying, what name should we give our son? I know,
Bing.
Bing,
Bing.
Bing.
Do you think that was really his name or do you think it was a stage name?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. But did you know he invented bingo?
He did not.
Correct, he did not. But with a name like Bing, he should have.
Yeah. You have to watch Dan, by the way. Sometimes he says things and you're like,
Oh,
is this a joke? Or
oh,
I'll never forget the first time that I went to meet with him when we were about to record Echoes in the Dark and he wanted me to hear the melody and I'm sitting there and he starts playing and I'm starting to think, "Oh my gosh."
no, what
I
I did
think
was when
yeah.
I when I write the music to a lyric and present it to the person for the very first time, I have a little bit of a logical trick.
Yeah, listen to
So
this.
the song actually went like this, something like, all right. So I said, okay, here it is. Echoes in the dark, echoes in the dark, echoes in the dark. And Susan went, I said, you don't like it? You don't like it? And she
She's
went,
like,
oh.
"Ah."
And then I played the real thing. And she went, oh, it's great. Oh, it's great. Of course,
Didn't know
because
what to
anything
say.
after this will sound great.
I was like, I am not going to say anything that offends this brilliant pianist, but oh my God,
Oh
that
my,
is not what I was thinking.
oh my God. So,
Yeah.
Susan, great to talk to you during this episode, first episode of our podcast. I want to tell everybody that this will be a continuing podcast.
Yeah.
This was episode number 1.
The
Bingo
introduction.
Schmingo. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bingo Schmingo is the name of our podcast. And of course, what that means is we're going to talk about more than bingo. Bingo, the heck with bingo. Let's move on from there. Um,
Yes.
we're delighted to have you with us. Our podcast will all be replayable. And for now, we're gonna wrap this up. And it was a lovely half hour talking to everybody. Susan, hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Ditto. Have a
And
good time up there in Vermont, and I will have a great time here in Indiana.
and we will see you all very soon for episode 2 of Bingo
Bingo
Schmingo.
Schmingo.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.